2 years ago, I was at a bar having some drinks with some of my friends. I said to them, this Jamaica under 19 team was a very good one. One of the friends turned to me and said, but there's nothing after them. And although that under 19 team went on to win the one day championship and the Red Ball Championship in 2023, a Jamaica under 15, under 17, or under 19 team have not came close to success since. During this year, I have the privilege of watching a large number of high school cricket matches in Jamaica. While the quality at the finals and the semi-finals is commendable, below that, there is nothing. Yesterday, I managed to stream 2 schoolboy cricket matches. None of the teams passed 50 of the 4 teams that played. We saw the West Indies T20 breakout series. And 2 bowlers have been suspended for throwing the cricket ball and not bowling it. I look at the standard of the cricket in Jamaica, which is hurting me badly. And then I elevate it to the T20 breakout series, where these bowlers have been throwing the cricket ball. And I remember Carl Hooper respond to my question. The West Indies team can go lower if we do not adjust the fundamental basics of coaching, of the players' techniques. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the #1 cricket channel in the Caribbean. I appreciate your company. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to your live interaction during this episode of The Takedown. This morning, I have with me our long-standing co-host, Basil Butcher Jr., former head coach of the USA women cricket team and son of the legendary West Indies cricketer, Basil Butcher Sr. Also with me this morning is Damian Wollaston, who runs a cricket academy in Old Harbour, Jamaica, the assistant coach of the Clarendon College cricket team, and also a cricketer himself. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to The Takedown.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank
you for having us.
Your wonderful viewers, and good morning to Damian. And I hope we have a wonderful show and great interaction as usual with our viewers.
Thank
Definitely.
you, Basil.
Good morning.
Damian.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. Thank you for having me, Sir Brown and Basil. Thank you for having me. And good morning to your viewers as well.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Basil, I want to come to you first. You'd have heard my introduction.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to pinpoint and the 2 West Indies fast bowlers. When I say West Indies, I mean playing in the West Indies T20 breakout championship, that have been banned from bowling because of a suspect bowling action. Why is it, Basil, that so many of our big, strong, fast bowlers are not throwing themselves over a brace front knee and bowl the cricket ball?
Well, it's interesting. You asked that question coming out of the block. I remember, probably this is going back probably about 8 years or so. Guyana attempted to reintroduce high school cricket because we hadn't had high school cricket for many years. This is going back to the 90s. We hadn't had high school cricket, and there was an attempt to reintroduce it. And one of the features of it, more than the opposite of the bowlers were throwing. And the umpires couldn't call because everybody was throwing it for the most part in the competition. And I had a conversation with a guy who was a teacher at one of the high schools. And one of the things he was lamenting was that, and maybe this is probably across the board in schools today, because when I went to high school and so on, you had a lot of male teachers, and several of them had some rudimentary or had played some kind of cricket at a decent level. So they understood the basics that they could impart to us students at school. Whereas he said, contrast today, the majority of the teachers are women who have no understanding of cricket. Nothing against them because they're women, just that they're not cricketers or been involved in the game. So these youngsters today in the school system don't have exposure to coaching. And this is, I'm talking specifically from a Guyana perspective. And so you saw that. But one of the things I feel that why you're seeing this lack of a brace knee and guys throwing as much as you see now in the West Indies is because I don't think our coaches are equipped to deal with ironing out those mechanical flaws. So that is something we have to look at. And as we get into this discussion, I will add more ideas.
Thank you very much, Basil. I'm coming to you, Damien. Now, you made 2 points that I want to react to, Basil. First, the women as PE teachers in our school. I, as someone who goes around to many primary schools in Jamaica and introduce cricket to the children, I have yet to meet up on a teacher, except for one school, who knows the fundamental of cricket. Most of these teachers would have graduated from GC Foster College, and they can score the cricket book. To me, it appears that's the only thing they can do, to score the cricket book. They have no more knowledge of cricket. Dave Cameron, the former president of Cricket West Indies, whatsoever you may think about him, I've also colluded your point, Basil, that one of the fundamental weakness in our schools in preparing cricketers is that the PE teachers do not know the game. As these ladies, and nothing against ladies, I have a wonderful wife and I don't know how to survive without her. So I have nothing against ladies. They turn up on the play field not appropriately dressed for the game. The second point I want to make, Basil, and as you touch on high school cricket, and I know Damien, who's an assistant coach and as an academy, would have a lot to say about this because I really want to hear his view on what he's doing at his academy and at Clarendon College to prevent these things from happening and iron out those things. So I'm coming to him for his view shortly. As I said in my introduction, Basil, about the schoolboy cricket, having the opportunity to watch a lot of schoolboy cricket this year, I saw a number of youngsters throwing the cricket balls. I saw umpires going to coaches and said, A is throwing, B is throwing, C is throwing. And instead of those coaches go away from the matches and try to iron out those flaws in the bowlers, they seek to have a confrontation with the coach and threaten legal action for calling bowlers to be throwing, because how do they determine that? So it is a very complex issue. And as you touch on the coaches, and I have no brief with no coaches, the extent of a man's knowledge is his experience. And I can say this because of my experience. But we have one such coach with us today, Damien Wollaston. Please, Damien Wollaston, give us your feedback and address the issues that I raised.
All right, thank you, Sir Brown. It's pretty simple. The overall technique of these bowlers, one, they didn't have the fundamentals in terms of the combination and the poor technique. These weren't sought out early, because once you don't teach somebody to do something from pretty early, from a tender age, it's going to be a bad habit for them. So what I do in my academy is to actually seek out talents. So I go into the primary school, right? Well, before going to the primary school, I write proposal to tell them, yes, I want to come in to see what the program is like. How can I be of assistance and bring these individuals to my academy? Eventually, when they reach my academy now, we start from the very ground level, right? Because I strongly believe in having clinics, right, whether at the parish level, at the community level, and eventually at the senior level, to have clinics for these bowlers to come in. You don't want to have them as running in wild, as Mr. Basil would rightly said about the biomechanics of the bowlers, right, to straighten out their action from early, right? So having these clinics and not glorifying our saying, all right, you have quick pace, you can bowl fast, but the action behind it is not appropriate, right? And you want to have these youngsters doing the right thing from early. So when they go on the international level where cameras are all about, or even you yourself streaming the actual games, we can see that they were properly taught the correct thing. So at my academy, we start from the ground level because the age group for my academy is age 5 and older. So having them doing the right thing is very important.
Thank you very much. Damian, Basil, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that's very commendable what Damian is doing. I mean, and it's interesting. A friend of mine, the guy from Guyana, that has been suspended. Samson, the guy who coaches him at the club is a personal friend. He's in our chat group, and he said he had never seen anything in his action. And I said to him, interestingly, the very first time I saw Samson bowl, because we have this inter-county competition in Guyana, so they were streaming it. So now I get to see him bowl. And right away, I thought something looked really, really funny about this action. And another friend said right off the bat, Butch, this guy pelting. And so I have an app where I use video analysis for all kinds of movements. So I went and I videoed with my app, and then went through the slow motion. And if I could see with the naked eye that the elbow was bent more than 15 and then straightened on delivery, know that he was pelting with my little app. It was just a matter of time that this youngster would have been called. So one of the things another coaching friend of mine suggested to him, he said, man, you gotta get these apps, or get an app like this, because you need to do intervention work ASAP at the club level, because I think now it's so important that all coaches do assess the players from club level, school level, to make sure, just from your rudimentary observation with a slow motion camera, that these youngsters are not throwing. So you can try to do the things necessary to correct that.
Yes, thank you very much, Basil, and very informative there. I love a number of things that you said just now. Now, you recall when I said that umpires would have reported bowlers who are throwing to coaches during the Jamaica schoolboy cricket season, and the umpires got backlash from reporting. And I've been threatened in some instances with lawsuit. So sometimes on the television, you see players throwing. I recall doing a watch along with the match between Guyana and Trinidad, and those who were on that watch along would have heard me saying that I want to look at James' action again. That is another way of saying that he's pelting the cricket ball. Mm-hmm. But because you do not have the proof and you do not want any lawsuit, you then say things to indicate that you are not comfortable with his action.
Yes.
So you would see in a match and you would ask, why is it that the umpires are allowing this bowler to continue to bowl? And I hope in this statement that I'm going to read from Cricket West Indies, you will understand why. Trinidad and Tobago Legion's fast bowler Joshua James was suspended for a suspect bowling action during the ongoing West Indies Breakout League. James' action was cited by match officials during the first two matches against Barbados Pelicans and on April 25th and Guyana Rainforest on April 26th at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Trinidad. And you are saying, why they didn't suspend him from the first match? They have to be careful. Everybody is now so in this legal thing. So as part of the process, once a player is reported for a suspect bowling action, video footage from the match in which the player was reported is provided to CWI. The video footage, along with the written report, is sent to Lord Borough University for analysis using an opinion report. On Monday, April 28, Cricket West Indies confirmed that the opinion report by the independent assessor at Lord Borough University has found James' bowling action to be illegal, and as such, he has been suspended from bowling in all West Indies international and regional matches effective immediately. It went on to say, the assessment revealed that James' delivery exceeded the level of tolerance for extension of the elbow permitted under playing regulations. As per the International Cricket Council regulation, the suspension will also apply to all other domestic leagues worldwide. So he's banned from playing cricket worldwide. James will now undergo remedial work under the supervision of the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board. He will be eligible to apply for reassessment once he has modified his bowling action, either through another opinion report from Lord Borough or via analysis from another reputable institution. There is it, gentleman. Basil, do you want to respond?
Yeah, and this is something also within this. We have a bowler in Guyana, Beaton, who has been on multiple occasions been called for an illegal action, and from this is what I was understood. The last time when he got passed, the video footage that was sent to Loughborough did not come out of competition. It came out of a very controlled situation, and those are things that we also have to be very, very hard on, because then he goes now, if the youngster goes in to now play again, because now his action has been cleared, because he was in a very controlled situation, because the video assessor at Loughborough could only assess whatever video they get, right? And now you go into competition and you let go, and you're back to square one. The process of the remedial was a farce. So that is something also we have to be very diligent and professional about, that remedial process.
Damien, how could Joshua James reach this level of representing regional teams in first class tournament, in List A tournament, without being identified by the number of coaches that you would have passed through? How could this have happened? How come?
I think attention wasn't being placed on the basics, right? Because some might say technique doesn't play cricket, but you remember you have the rules to follow, right? And once those are not followed, probably it can be overlooked when cameras are not there to say, all right, this is going to be the legal action that we're going to be taking. But eventually, when you reach at whether the regional level or the international level, you'll be spotted, right? And for me, development is very important. And if it's not the case where the coach is going to sit down and take the necessary things to put things in place in terms of analyzing, whether getting a tablet or a mini camera to do some sessions. So when they reach a particular level, the harsh reality won't face them to say that, hey, my player is bowling illegally, right? So I guess it was slipped through the cracks, so to speak. But I think the clinics, as stated before, needs to be in place, school level, parish level, for these bowlers to get the proper alignment, position of the wrist, and so on, and eventually straighten out the elbow.
Thank you. Damien, back to you. You are here now. And I'm not talking about techniques. I'm not talking about drills. If an umpire comes to you and said, one of your players is throwing the cricket ball, how do you approach that player?
All right, so definitely we'll thank the umpire for his insights, because at the end of the day we won't see everything. So that player eventually, the very next training session, I'll definitely, well, it's been going on with my sessions, but if the umpire comes to me and say that this is the case, I'll pay keen attention to the actual delivering of the ball and so on, the strides and so on. And from there, we'll take the necessary steps to address the action, so it won't be a reoccurrence from the next game in terms of umpire calling him for suspect action.
But what would you say to a player? Because oftentimes these players, you tell them that they are throwing, they are embarrassed, they feel demotivated, and so forth. What do you now say to them to keep that motivation going and don't let them say, well, you know, this thing is too hard for me, I'm going to stop playing the cricket?
No, definitely. I would say that to that player that in order for you to perform at the highest level, they will be criticizing and critiquing all your movements. So stay motivated, stay grounded, right? This is the correct way to get the job done, because at the end of the day, you can see yourself getting a career out of cricket, and you don't want your career to be a short one. You want to earn while having fun, doing something that you love. So I would motivate them to stay disciplined, stay humble, and just take the necessary correction. And even themselves can do some research, because as young as they are, or as old as they are, they can be coaches as themselves. So I would tell them, take my advice. You can do some additional research on your own to see where you're going wrong and the way forward.
Thank you very much. Basil, is it that these players, some of them do not have the motivation, the inspiration, the aptitude and the attitude to do the thing properly, and they believe that they can get away with doing it anyhow?
No, I think what Damien just said, it was actually brilliant, important, the part of the research, because one of the things, one of the beauties of today's sport, we have video analysis. And one of the charges as a coach is not only for you to be the video analysis person, you also will teach your players how to be video analysis of themselves, right? So when you would show the video to the youngster and explain, because now these days with the video analysis, you could draw lines through, and so the player could see all the technique things that you're talking about that needs to be addressed. So you're not making up stories. So that's very important, because you know what we often say, seeing is believing. So when the player would see this, you would get more buy-in from the player, you know, because I remember I had this a youngster. They said he had a suspect action. Other people was telling me the same thing. I never really looked at his action. And one day, me and my friend, we turned up to match he was playing. And I said, I can decide I'm going to video him. And I videoed him with the app. And I went back, me and my friend who's a coach also, and we scrolling through his bowling action. And it was clear as day he was pelting. And I went up to him after, and I said to him, you know, it's true what they say, you're pelting. And he was like, upset. I said, no, don't get upset. Let's go to the video. And we walked through the video. And first, you see, the other thing too, as a coach, you have to explain to the player how it constitutes that you're throwing, right? Because a lot of these players don't even know the rules that constitutes throwing. So you have to make sure you explain to them and then follow that up, showing them on the video. You see where the action starts, where they say from this point to this point. If the elbow extends more than 15 degrees, it constitutes you throwing.
Thank you very much, Basil. Good morning, Jason Humphrey. Good to have you here. Jamor Sumals, good morning. Big up Christopher Bristol. It's a pleasure having you here. Arvin Lynch is saying, Basil, coaches must be able to identify suspect bowling action. I think that's what we are saying.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they are not professional coaches. Is it that sharp a contrast? Because if you're not identifying these things, Basil,
Yes,
are you really carrying out your professional responsibility?
I would tend to agree with him, and this is where you have to hold. This is one of the ways, the points you would hold coaches accountable, because we're seeing in the West Indies over the last few decades of our players getting to the highest levels and have deficiencies in fundamental cricket things, like guys get to the test level and they can't play a proper sweep shot. You know what I mean? That is something that's where you will start to hold the coaches along the pathway. How come you got a player get to this level when you know one of the shots you will have to be able to play to combat good spin bowling is being able to sweep, right? And this was not put in the arsenal as the player was developing. And I think in the West Indies, we have been letting coaches slide and slide for year after year. We appoint coaches to coach our national teams. And based on what? And how are we evaluating how good a job are they doing? What is the process are we using to say, oh, this guy is doing a good job as a coach, or this guy or gal is not doing a good job as a coach? And who pays the brunt of it? The players do, because they're the ones that are supposed to be guided. It's like you, Carlton. Your wife is a school teacher. If the teachers aren't teaching the children properly in school, how when the child now goes through high school, comes out and is functionally literate, who's to blame for that? It's going to be the teachers.
Sure. Thank you, Basil. And Williston is a teacher also, and he's a coach. So, Farrell Francis, good morning. James Humphrey, I will ask your question, but it's not on the agenda here, so we want to stick to the agenda. Sherwin, big up yourself. Good to have you here. Sherwin, so Jojo is saying, Damian, what amazes me is that Joshua James just played an old season of 4-day cricket and was not reported. How could that have been possible, Damian? Good morning, Keith Aaron. Happy to hear you. Happy to have you here.
Probably there and then he wasn't trying to exert a lot of pace, right? And probably he was one initially. And then in this breakout series, he probably get carried away, right? And eventually was called. So probably he was on his P's and his Q's during the championship, so to speak. And this breakout league now that you have all the cameras from all different angles looking at him. So
yes.
That's a brilliant point. That's a brilliant point,
Yeah, that's an excellent point. But Carlton, I noticed that this is when I saw him bowl in the first class, and I didn't really, there was something a little funny. But it was more exaggerated in this breakup, because when it was required to bowl more Yorkers in the first class, the Yorkers was not a featured ball as much. He was bowling a lot of the back of the length. But the minute I saw him bowling the Yorkers in this thing, I said, this guy pelted. As soon as I saw the Yorkers, I said, this action looked totally different when he bowled the Yorkers.
Yeah, yes, because as I said, and the video is there, I was trying to find the video where I was saying that I need to look at James' action. Sheldon, good morning to you. Keith Aaron is always saying that Robin Singh, you remember Robin Singh, Basil? Yes. Should be the next coach of the West Indies team.
Well, I can tell you this.
Keith Aaron has been campaigning on it for a long time.
I'll tell you this about Robin, because I've had the opportunity to work with Robin in the U.S. national team. When he was the head coach, I was the physio and conditioning coach. I had a player. I coached him at under 19. He used to pelt, right? I remember the first time we played an under 19 competition against his team in our area here in the U.S. I go to the coach. I said, man, what kind of pelt you got here? And here is his response to me. At that time, Molatorin was a top bowler in the world. He said, when my youngster gonna see Molatorin bowl pelting, how I am going to tell him? I said, Molatorin has passed through the biomechanical analysis clear, so you can't make that. You can't say you believe. He has been tested and it's clear. This boy here is pelting. But to my amazement, Robin came, because this youngster is based in the Washington, D.C. area. Robin came down there to do a week-long coaching down there. The guys from the league brought him there. So I being the head coach of that region, I went up to watch a match playing up there because I got to picking the teams to the region. And I'm watching and I see this guy bowling. Well, I didn't recognize him because the guy was bowling properly. And the field and the boundary, I said to him, I call out to him, I said, man, who is that guy bowling? He said, coach, man, that's Junaid. I said, who? Rashid is bowling with legal action? Well, no, I was very, enthused. As soon as the inning over, I walk over to the players section. I said, Rashid, what did you do to be bowling legal? He said, coach, man, Robin saw me. I went to the Robin thing, and Robin showed me to make just these 2 adjustments, and this guy's action became legal. So when I hear people say, boy, this thing hard, is if you know what you're doing, you can correct these guys.
Yeah, Basil, thank you. I'm going to move on to something else now, but I'm just telling you, Basil, that you are a friend with Keith Aaron for life, for making that comment. Because Keith Aaron has launched a campaign for Robin Singh to be the coach of the West Indies team for the past 2 years. Jason Humphrey is asking about what happened to players from Australia and those other countries who are throwing. And I continue to say that a number of times we look at the wrist and think that they are throwing. But you can do anything with the wrist. It's really the elbow. And we need to make that distinction. Jason.
But on the Australia thing, I want to just say this, Carlton. Australia does this. All of their top fast bowlers from around the country, 16, from 15 through 17, from all the various states, is brought to their academy, whatever they call it, the institute or whatever they call it, to be fully tested biomechanically and so on. If the action where they got too much lateral flexion in the lumbar spine, which down the road can cause them to
but which, according to Arvin Lynch, she's asking, there was an Australia fast bowler that was called recently.
Yes, a spinner, a left arm spinner, but he was immediately cleared when they tested him.
Kruger and something like that. Yes, I recall.
Yes.
And thank you. But then recently in the same West Indies T20 Breakout League, there was a decision involving a batsman from the Barbados Pelican.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I saw it, my reaction, I won't say my reaction because I want to hear both of you gentlemen separately. And we'll start with Damien. And I really want
you talking about catch
chat to come in right now. And so here is it, gentlemen. So I will play it over again, and these images is from the West Indies YouTube channel who broadcast the match then. Mm-hmm. Was it dropped or was it caught?
That was caught.
The debate has raged on, the debate has raged on. Different persons have different opinion. Yes. And as I said, these images are from the West Indies YouTube channel, and we are using it to analyze what happened in that match. Was he caught or was he dropped? Very interested. What are your thoughts, starting with you, Damien?
I strongly believe that the ball wasn't under control for enough seconds, so I would say not out. I
No,
would say not
no,
out.
no. My question is
Wait, Basil, allow
yeah,
Damien to finish.
yes, yes.
Yeah, so I would say not out for that one because for me the ball wasn't under much control there. Guess the wicketkeeper was too excited to actually celebrate. So for me, it's not out. I would say not out.
All
Okay,
right.
thank you. Basil, what's your opinion on it?
I said out
You
because the wicket keeper actually made collected the ball, and the gift that you get, and it's just that
Mm-hmm.
when you will go to throw up the ball slip out. So to me, when you do this, you're in control of the ball. Look how he gives the give, right? You're in control of the ball. There's no
no,
one
Basil, but
umpire.
right there, Basil, right
Mm-hmm,
there, his
mm-hmm,
hands was going forward and the ball went backward. So if
mm-hmm.
he was in control of the ball, why did the ball went backward while his hands went forward?
Well, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. I was going with the give because
Yeah,
with the give, the ball couldn't have been when you collect the ball. It couldn't be between the wrists, right? It would be in the midst. So that's why I had said out, but the umpire disagreed with me.
yes, and a lot of persons in the chat, like the champion is saying that it was out. Sherwin, it was saying that is a catch.
Mhm.
JC was saying catch. Jaherb is saying dropped. Sherwin is saying any debate is foolishness and bias. I don't. That's so. Sherwin is as usual. That is outside Jamor Small. That is outside Jamor Small. But what I want to read here, and I should have it up on the screen. I want to read. I would have looked at the law. I'm trying to find the law here because I did look at it. I think it's 33.3, which said that the fielder has to have complete control over his action and the ball.
Mhm.
Complete control over his action and the ball. Basil, did he have complete control over his action and the ball there?
No.
Yeah. So Williston, you already said drop.
Yeah, I said drop.
Yes, Athena, who is a legend of this community, and Athena is always here. Athena is someone who have always been supporting the community, and he think that it was caught. Let's hear what Arvelin said. It was not a catch. He did not have complete control of the ball according to the rule. No, Basil. So yeah, he disagree with you.
Yeah, look. The thing about that is, um, it's harder for one to say whether or not in terms of control because he has gloves on. Where somebody with the bare hands, you have a better view, right? And I guess based on that, the umpire give the benefit of the doubt to the batter, which you usually want to do that, give the benefit to the batter, because there's no way. Even your point is a fair point, but where the ball fell, but uh, there's no way the umpire could tell whether or not he had control of the ball in those gloves. There's no way. So,
Yeah.
but
What did it for me, Basil, is that the action of him throwing the ball forward. There he is, he's tossing the ball forward, but the ball is going back. The ball hit him on his body. And that's
mhm,
what did it for me to say
right,
that if you have
right.
control over this ball, there's no way
But
that
but but
ball would
but
have,
but
would have gone back. So clearly for me, it was a drop catch. Damien, any comment on it?
No, I would just stick to my stance. It's and I thought, and I said before, full control wasn't had for the ball.
Yes,
I I,
and
I I would
So
just want to add just this quickly, Carlton. They need to revise the rules of what is a catch too, because one of the things I have difficulty with is a guy catch the ball or a woman catch the ball, fully in control with the ball in the grasp of their hands. They fall to the ground, and if the ball hits the ground, the bat is not out. Like we saw what happened with Mitchell Stark, and we saw it. It was West Indies was playing. The West Indies women were playing a game. I think it was. The fielder caught the ball and fell down, and the ball hit the ground as she was falling down, breaking her fall. But clearly had control of the ball.
No, Basil, if you have control over the ball, let me tell you what I always tell persons, and if you are listening to me and I watch along, when you catch the ball, protect the ball.
Yeah.
Do not allow anyone to make a decision whether it's a catch or not.
Correct.
Protect that ball. And you made the point of the ball hitting the ground, despite the player have control over it. Look at it this way, Basil, why I think it is clearly not out. For me, when the ball touched the ground, it's just not out, no matter how you touch it.
Yeah.
If that player in control of the ball step on the boundary rope, would it be a 6?
Yeah.
So it can't be out then.
No,
It can't be out then.
I'll give you an argument here now. The
Yes.
ground did not help the player to be in control of the ball.
Well,
Why I'm saying this,
convince me, Basil, if you are the player, convince me that the ground didn't help you by not letting the ball touch the ground.
There is precedence, and that's what I'm going to. In the NFL here in the United States.
No, but the NFL rules are totally different from cricket
still,
rules.
It's still the art of catching a ball. The NFL, hold on, let me just say.
No, Basil. How the NFL define the act of catching a ball is not the same way cricket define the act of catching a ball.
They pretty much do. And
if you look
NFL, and I'm saying this to you now, there was a time in the NFL, if a wide receiver or whoever caught the football and any of it touched the ground, it was ruled not a catch. They reviewed it and said, wait a minute, guys are fully grasping the ball. The ball touching the ground did not aid them in the catch. So they've eliminated that. That's why I'm
no,
saying.
Basil, let I ask you the question again. The best way to tell me that you are in control of the ball is to prevent it from touching the ground.
No. That's body. That's not.
It's a Fitzroy Bowman to say not
control of the ball.
You and I disagree, Basil. So I'm not going to be here quarreling with you.
Yes.
Fitzroy saying it's not out. Sweet Bread saying it is not out. A number of persons are saying that it is not out. Not out, not in control of the ball. Sweet decision teaches a valuable lesson. Good call by the umpire. Michael Caine said that a not out. Just go back a couple of years with Ben Stokes against Australia. Jason Humphrey said, good question, Basil Jr. So if the key, he didn't finish there. Is the NFL catch as similar to cricket? Is right. The champion is saying, you're right, the NFL catch is similar to cricket. Now, another controversial issue has arisen recently, Basil, and we also want to look at that issue.
Just before you tell, one of my friends who was watching, who is a coach, the same friend I referred to a couple of times, he said it was out.
He said, well, I have consulted with a number of umpires, and they said it is not out.
Right on.
So the debate raging on.
Yes.
However, this whether it's out or it's not out. But again, the question, the point I want to say to everyone on a cricket field who's going to take a catch, secure that ball.
I agree.
Secure that ball, and then there will be no issue at all.
Exactly.
Secure it.
As a coach, that is what you have to teach your players, because the rules clearly state if you're not in full control and you throw up the ball and it slip out your hand, the umpires are most likely to say no catch. Or if you fall to the ground and part of the ball it touches the ground despite you got the ball in your hand, the umpire would say not out. So you have to teach your players this is what you have to do to avoid that. So we have no controversy and whatever. Yes.
Jason Humphrey sent question to the cricket forum. So if a keeper catch the ball and drop the ball on the stump, what would you call that? Now, if the batsman is out of his crease, he's out stump. Yes. Lara made a similar error while in the slips playing for West Indies, and the umpire deemed the catch void. Yes. Now, the next issue that we have here, the next controversial thing, involve another West Indian, although he's playing for Canada.
Oh.
His name is Nicholas Curtin. I would have looked at it from many sources to just put this together. Cricinfo, the Guardian, I would have looked at Sportsmax and so on to put this together. Nicholas Curtin, captain of the Canadians national cricket team, was arrested at the Grantley Adams International Airport. That is the airport in Barbados, his home country, his birth country, in early April 2025, after authorities reportedly discovered 20 pounds, approximately 9 kilograms of cannabis in his possession. He was subsequently charged with possession of trafficking, importation, and intent to supply cannabis. Curtin appeared before the District F Magistrate Court, and he pleaded not guilty to all charges. He was granted bail set at Barbados $100,000 with conditions including surrendering his passport and to report to the police weekly. Basil, this is not looking good.
No, I mean, 20 pounds marijuana. what if indeed this is so? What are you doing? 20 pounds? I mean, these days you only could put 50 pounds in your suitcase, right? And not even 50, because you wear the suitcase, that alone might be a little 5 and 10. So it's a total of about 40. So half the weight of the suitcase was in marijuana. I mean, what I find interesting, you coming from Canada to the Caribbean with marijuana. I thought it's the opposite way around.
But how do you see this though, Damien? Why is it that a cricket and Canada, to my understanding, Basil, and you can correct me, is one of the best paying cricket nation in the region here. They pay their players a good tidy salary, maybe very close to what West Indies pay their players. Why would they need to do this, Damien?
All right, so this is a tough one, right? You want to separate his leadership position in terms of being a captain. And when you look at it, and other person looking at it on the outside, is very disappointing. I strongly believe that I'm not sure if it's a support system that is needed, because when individuals go through different phases in their lives, they generally turn to some things that we would consider illegal, right? But I'm not sure the reason or the rationale behind him transporting that amount, which should never be the case, because remember again, your reputation will be online, and doing something like that can tarnish your reputation. And as it's right now, he's on bail for that amount. So I believe some support system, not just develop the player athletically, but mentor them and so on, and say, hey, give them life skill training. Say, all right, this is the situation. If you do this, this is the sanction. Try to stay on the straight and narrow, so to speak, right? And be that role model. And the capacity he's in right now as a captain, he shouldn't have gone down the road of transporting the amount, much less that the type of thing he was transporting, the cannabis. So support system is needed, mentorship program and life skill training is needed for athletes, not just developing them athletically. So that's my take on it.
Very much. Basil, I know the ease of going through an airport when you have a recognized ID around your neck. I experienced that traveling through the Caribbean and the ease of going through, and all the all the perks that comes with that recognized ID around your neck. How much pressure is put on these persons who is seen as someone who can get through airports easier than than the average man. How much pressure is put on them to do these type of transshipment, not necessarily drugs, but money and other things? What sort of pressure do they come under?
I don't know if it's pressure, but they may feel they could take the chance because of their because of the notoriety they have, that they are able to get through an airport without the checks or the type of scrutiny that we, Joe Public, will be put through as we going through the airport. And maybe he thought, because Curtin has also played for several years for Barbados, so he's a well-known person in Barbados, that he probably thought that he would not be so scrutinized, that he could get away with bringing in 20 pounds of marijuana into the island.
Yes, 20 pounds of marijuana, Damien, is a lot. As
That's
Basil
a whole lot.
said. You know, how do you transship that without getting noticed?
Exactly.
It would be hard, it's very hard, because remember, he's a public figure, right? And sometimes public figure, based on the intel, so to speak, that these, what do you call them now, persons, the airport police and so on, they get
customs and immigration.
Customs and immigration. They probably would have gotten an intel to say that Curtin is carrying this amount and so on. But sometimes you yourself give yourself away, but not condoling what he did by any means. But it's just pretty much unfortunate for him.
Yeah. Harvey Lynch is saying, Basil, it is a question of upholding personal values as a potential leader. Values guide behavior. What? And I'm not here just pinpointing at Curtin, because we may not ship drugs, we may not ship money, but as human beings, we all make poor judgment at times. We all do. What though would be going through a person's mind who's already the captain of the Canadian cricket team, earning good money, to try to attempt something like this? What would be going through his mind?
Look, I mean, we don't know, even though he's making some decent money, captain in Canada and so on. A lot of times the younger folk, anybody would think that's not enough. And this is a shot. He could have been thinking, look, this is a one-off shot. Let me see if I could get through. Because of my notoriety and so on, I think I could get this in to the island undetected. And he rolled the dice. He took the risk, but he came up snake eyes, as you would say, and he got caught. You know, I mean, Damien said some things there, very, very, again, excellent in terms of all the aspects in the development of an elite athlete you're looking at, because as a human being you're developing. It's not just their skills as a player, but all the other aspects that go into that, to be that good player, to be able to have the consistency and the choices and all those various things that one would have to do on a consistent basis to be an elite athlete. And I would say in our region, the Caribbean, that is not something our players get enough of.
Yes, and Harvey Lynch, who has been really contributing this morning, and he's making a lot of good points. Maybe we need to invite him on the show, because he's really on it this morning, and that's why his points are getting so much traction. And basically what he's saying is that the Canadians authority would have picked up the drugs with Curtin leaving Canada.
Probably
but
did.
They would have probably said, we can't bother with this, yeah, man. Let Barbados deal with it. And they would have notified the persons in Barbados and let them deal with it. And while Jamor Small is saying, you don't have to tell a big man who's a public figure how to behave. He should know that the camera is always on him, and he has to behave in a mannerly fashion. I got the point that Jamor Small is making,
Yeah.
But General Small would have heard me said on a many occasions, I do not like any of these cricketers. And I do not dislike them either, because I do not know enough about them to form an opinion one way or the other. I will like what they do on the cricket field, and that is what I discuss.
Correct.
Or I will dislike what they do on the cricket field, and that is what I critique.
Correct.
But personally, I do not know any of them to make a determination whether to like them or to dislike them. Because I learned a long time ago, you don't want to meet your hero, because it could be let down.
I usually say this too, Carlton. There's only one person on this planet I would put the neck on the block for, is myself.
Right.
Even
right.
people you know so well, you know them, you for vouch for them and so on, but you cannot put your neck on a block for them, because you never know the circumstances, situation that can cause somebody to break and make a choice that is totally contrary to the character you know. So you only put your neck on the block for yourself.
And it goes back to a point that you made earlier, Basil, that Dane is making here now. Because Dane is pointing out that it is probably cheaper to buy cannabis in Barbados than in Canada. So why carry it from Canada to Barbados? It's really interesting. Exactly. It's really, why carry it from Canada to Barbados?
Yeah. You could grow it easily in Barbados, but yes. You see, the thing is, you remember too, marijuana is probably legal in Canada, as it is in many states in the United States, right? You could buy it, so you buy it and accumulate, because you're buying it legally. Small amounts you're allowed, right? So you accumulate it, and then you decide, you know.
I got you.
Yeah.
Last Saturday, the 17.4 overs in a match between RCB and CSK. Now, many of us West Indians do not really watch the IPL unless we have our favorite players. However, every now and then we are probably having a drink at a bar, or probably passing our living room and saw the match going on and sit down and watch a little bit of it. Just like the West Indies T20 Breakout League, I have a challenge watching the IPL. CSK versus RCB. Patirana bowls to Patidar, and he drove the ball in the air to long off, and he was out caught. That was a 17.4 over. In comes Romario Shepherd. The fifth delivery of the 18th over, Patirana bowl a steep, wicked bumper to Shepherd. First ball ran down in his face, and I would have probably said something like, Sibel the leather boy. Although that is a West Indian term. The over end without much fanfare. Shepherd got a single sometime during the over. I think of the last ball. Cahill comes into Shepherd. And for the next 10 deliveries, he hit 6 of them to the boundary for 6s and 4. The first 2 of Cahill sail out of the park. Then the 5th delivery. Probably I've never seen a shot like that before. In the air, both feet off the ground, probably about 6 to 8 inches. And Shepherd hit the fast bowler over extra cover for 6. The third ball of the 20th over was bowled by Patirana. It was a half volley. It was in the slot. Shepherd swung and he misses. And he uttered a word that echoed around the cricketing world that is still being talked about today. But with one delivery to come in the innings and Shepherd on 47, he hit it so far that they had to send a taxi at the ball as Shepherd scored the second fastest 50 in the history of IPL. This was a marvelous display of power hitting. Some say it's 50 or 14 deliveries, but I would say it's 15 of 12 deliveries, because the first 2 deliveries, he only got 1, and he ended up making 53. Has Shepherd now, gentlemen, taken over the role of the West Indies #1 finisher? And even more, is he the most deadly finisher in cricket? He only come off 20% of the times according to statistics. But when he comes off, he win matches for you. Let's start with you this time, Damien. Is he the most deadly finisher in West Indies cricket? And have we seen the end of Andre Russell?
All right, so the innings was a very powerful one, right? It goes to show that the Caribbean still have that power, still have that raw talent, right? But the question is, how can we fit him in our system, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to see as a nation, being a West Indian, how much he has to offer, because that's the IPL, right? When it comes back down to our international games, where do we place him in terms of batting? But I believe that that's a strong innings from him, a raw innings, and remember, he bowls as well. So for me, he's a good all-rounder, right? Not just as a finisher, but also with the ball. But this innings is one to credit him for. But when you look at West Indies games coming up, I think we have a tour against England. Well, Australia, then England. Where do we place him in terms of our games and so on?
Yeah. Basil, tell us first about the innings and how you see Shepherd in the West Indies team, and is he the very best finisher in the world at this time?
I would say first is Carlton, your storytelling was dramatic. It was beautiful to listen to your description of that inning, right?
Thank you, sir.
Shepherd, we have known Shepherd to have this ability to destroy attacks at times, coming in that position as a batter. We have seen it before the international level. In South Africa, I remember vividly when he scored. I think he made a 50 also in that match against South Africa. And we have seen it other times in the CPL and so on. So he has demonstrated his ability to do so. The issue then, and then you said about Russell. But then I think today Russell reminded everybody that he is still the man, because he made a 20-something ball 50 today for his team that helped to get them over the line with the total that they made that the other team was unable to chase down. Came very
one
close.
by one run, yes.
Yes, right. But the big difference is this: when you talk about replacing Russell still is way more skillful, in my view, with the cricket ball in his hand bowling than Shepherd. Because in that same match, Shepherd went and bowled, and he got 1 over, and he was only because he was hit to all parts and gave up 18 runs. But yes, Shepherd is very, very destructive.
Yes. Damien is making the point that how do we fit him in the West Indies team? For me, Basil, it's not about how do we fit Shepherd in the West Indies team, but it's more or less who are some of the other players that he's one of the players who is in that West Indies team, and is who you fit around him.
Well, call. If I'd ask you this then, Carlton, since you're so much advocating, call your 11 with Shepherd in it.
We will do that. We will do
Okay,
that very shortly.
right.
The West Indies team is going to tour England very shortly,
Yes.
and we'll get to that. And
All right.
speaking of West Indies team touring England, I have now picked my squad. And this is my squad for the West Indies women team to tour England. And I'm just going to show it here, and then, gentlemen, you can react to it. So I've gone ahead, and that's the team there. Ailey Matthews, Camber Fletcher, Brittany Cooper. I've called her back, winning World Cup player. If we are calling back Nation and so on, we can call back Cooper, who win the World Cup. And how many persons are doing much better than her? Henry Joseph Allain, Nia Latchman. Nia Latchman should be in the West Indies squad as a what you call it now, as some would say apprentice, but she's probably more than that. But she should be there learning from Ashley Fletcher.
I agree.
He's the best leg spinner that we have around.
Correct.
And Ashley Fletcher will be 40 in a couple of months, in a few months' time. So why don't we have her there instead of the three spinners? I will stick with Gajnabi. Glasgow is there because Dutton is not there, and we need that all-rounder. Although I realize that Glasgow pace has gone down and she's probably bowling about off 10 steps. Zadia James, you have to have her. There have been times in the past you have been critical of her performances, but she gave us 2 innings at the World Cup, and she did bowl steadily. So I do not have an issue with her in the team. I think her batting at number 3 is a good decision. I hope she stayed there. Amanda Edwards. I am giving Amanda Edwards and Rialana Griman their chance. Let's start with you, Basil. We know that you are probably the best analyst of women cricket in the West Indies. So what change would you make to this 15-woman squad?
Cooper, no way I would ever pick Cooper to play for West Indies again. Instead of Amanda Edwards, I would bring in that the youngster Hector, because Hector is both with the bat and ball, fast bowler, very aggressive, and she bats really well. Yesterday against Barbados, I mean, she destroyed Barbados' attack. I would also looking at that team. I'm very reluctant. I love young Griman. Let me tell you this, as a batter, but and I would say this unequivocally. In my view, young Griman is the best young woman batter in the Caribbean in terms of raw talent, in my view. However, having said that, there are things about her understanding, her cricket IQ, in understanding to construct innings and so on and so forth. And there's some technical things in terms of her footwork that I feel needs to be tightened up, because if she's thrown into the deep end at the international game, what she's getting away with at this level, she would not be able to do so. And it could be a damper in terms of her confidence. So maybe, if you really want to carry her on there to be part of the setup, yes, but I'm not ready to throw her into the deep end as of yet. And I'm struggling here to see who else we have on the dock that
my view on Rialana Griman before we come to Damien is that the quality that we have is of such low quality when you take out the world-class players. The rest have fallen off so badly that you have to put Rialana Griman in there because she's simply better than those that we have.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with that, but I am just because I think she has a chance to be, in my view, a world-class player. She has world-class talent. And I am very skeptical in throwing her into deep end without ticking off some very important boxes that would afford her that, if not ticked off, can push her in the opposite direction. One other person I would have in there, another person I would have, two people. They're going to England, where seam is going to be more thing. I would have Kate Wilmot and Claxton from Leeward Islands in that team, because you're going to be more dependent on seam more than spin in England.
Okay, thank you very much, Basil. Damian, what's your view on the West Indies women's squad for England?
All right. I'm pretty much optimistic about the team because talent is definitely there. Like, with those, we would have placed an asterisk beside their name, right? But are we sending players who can manage England conditions? Yes, these players have experience, but experience is one, but delivering the day is another, right? Mixing the experience with youth is always important, and not just for this tournament or this tour coming up, but for other international games. And we want to support them as much best as we can in terms of whether through coaching and proper development, and as I said before, mixing the experienced players with the youth players. So I think the squad you showed a short while ago, it's a good squad, but I think I really don't follow the female cricket as much as I follow the male in terms of the names of the players. But I think what I'm seeing there is good enough representation for West Indies.
Basil, what is the situation with Deandra Dottin?
I was going to ask you that because I see you didn't name her. Is that in? No. What did she injure in the WPL?
It's a mystery to me, Basil, because when I picked my squad for the World Cup, I had her in it. I had to take down the video when I realized that she was not in the squad, because I couldn't. I was there saying that she was a part of the squad. And then when I realized that she was not a part of it, I have to take down the video because I could not allow a video of that quality to stay up.
Right.
I have not heard what her injury is, when she was injured, or whatsoever. It's just clouded in secret. I do not know anything about it, Basil.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing goes for Stephanie Taylor, because all I hear the director of cricket saying, oh, she has some, it's a degenerative, so we have to manage. Degenerative of what? Is it our lumbar spine? Is it her knee? What is it? What joint is degenerative, right? And these are the things. I mean, this is a very sore point with me with the West Indies, is their lack of media relations to issues like this that leads to people like me and you and others to speculate when these are basic things they could say to us and tell us, oh, look, Taylor has a back problem that we have to manage, or a knee problem. We have to manage our load and so on. Fine. We don't want to know anything else in terms of the specifics of the injury. You're just giving us the general outline, and anybody will be like, cool. All right. That's the reason why you're doing X. Well, Dottin wasn't injured in a West Indies game. She was injured playing in one of the leagues, but still, she's a West Indies player. When they're picking teams, we don't see Dottin's name. We're going to ask the question, what has happened to Dottin, right? At least Cricket West Indies could say, look, Dottin suffered XYZ injured. She's still rehabbing. And that's good. That's it. We don't need to know more than that. Even like what's going on right now. Alia Allen is not playing for Barbados. Ramarak is not playing for Trinidad. Haley Matthews is not playing for Barbados. Cricket West Indies has not come out and say to us, the consumers of the sport, the fans, because you would have fans who are looking forward to see Haley play, to see Allen play, the Barbados fans and others. Similarly, Trinidadian, Ramrak was just the captain of the 50-over team. Why are these players not playing? No, nothing. Now it's left again to us to speculate why they're not playing. And those are basic things that we, the cricket consuming public, need to be told, because that's basic in sport, elite sport today.
It is surprise. While I can understand Haley Matthews, and I can understand Alia Allen and Ramarak getting a break, because they have been top performers for the West Indies. But we saw this also in the Super 50 with Chanel Henry. And when I told Persis that Shane Diaz have lost the dressing room, and they are asking me, what am I talking about? This is a prime example of players who are allowed to do what they want to do because the coach have lost the dressing room. I am here in Basel, and my heart goes out to Hayley Matthews. I sympathize with her. My condolences. I heard that she lost a family member. Are you aware of this, Basil?
Yeah, I think her dad's mother or grandmother.
Yes. So and we understand she should have been probably very close to her because I was very close to my grandfather. And I can understand and I really sympathize. And maybe we saw where I think Alzarri Joseph lost a family member and he went and played for the West Indies the same way. So different persons react to these things differently.
Yes.
But if we are to put it into context, and again, I said my heart goes out to her, I understand. I am here in Basel that she played a match in Barbados yesterday. So she's able to play a match in Barbados, but she's not able to play in the regional T20 Blaze. Why?
Well, that's the question that the cricket fans are going to ask. If you're saying that she was not, she was told to take a rest, because I'll tell you this, Carlton, her dad came on this past Tuesday. She was supposed to appear on a radio program and was unable because the appointment or wherever she was, she didn't get back home in time or whatever. And her dad came on and said, because the question was asked to me, I was on the panel, about who is the favorite to win this upcoming T20 Women's Tournament. And I said right off the bat, Barbados, because I said, Hayley Matthews playing for Barbados, they're the overwhelming favorites, right? Because she alone could beat all the other teams, right? And then her father came on shortly thereafter onto the program and said Hayley was not playing, that she has some niggles, and she was told to rest. So right away, I withdrew my prediction and said, well, the tournament is now open because the looming shadow of Hayley Matthews. And at that time, I did not even know that Aliyah Allen was not playing for Barbados. It's until the start of the tour, because I didn't really pay close attention to all the teams that were picked in the different territories. It was when the first game Barbados is played, and I'm looking for Aliyah Allen, and then somebody in the chat that I'm in, a lot of Barbadians said she is not in the team. And I said, for what? What is the reason for her not playing? Because Aliyah Allen, unlike Hayley, does not play in any leagues around the world and all those different things. All she plays is for Barbados and West Indies, right? So unless she is injured, which I would say, yes, you can't play. The same with Ramrock. Is Ramrock injured? Nobody is saying anything.
Yes. Damien, what's your thought on a player? And although in this specific instance, we cite the example of Hayley Matthews, but we are on a broad base, in a general sense. What is your thought on a player who is not playing in the West Indies first class cricket competition, the T20 Blaze, yet still that player is in Barbados playing domestic cricket? What's your thought on something as general as that?
All right, it can be a case where you're looking at pressure being brought on you at that level. Because remember, some domestic games are not televised, right? And to have or to lose a family member and you're trying to regroup yourself and so on, you play in a lesser what should I say now? Lesser attention cricket, so to speak.
Lesser level, a lower level.
A lower level of cricket, ease your mind and so on, and the expectation of you performing won't be as pressuring as it would be at that level. So giving her some time and playing that level of cricket would somewhat, for me, would ease her mind and not to think about winning the T20 Blaze but just to just relax, have some fun, and just take your mind off certain things.
Okay,
No, but
I got you. And that's
the only
some.
thing I would add to that, Damien, and your points are fair. She was already not going to play for Barbados before her grandmother passed. So she was, as I say, I'm just repeating verbatim what her dad said. Haley has niggles and she's been told to rest, right? So because I know, and that's probably, that could be probably how Haley is dealing with her grandmother's death, to go and play a cricket match and take her mind off of it and so on and so forth. But the optics is the part that, because I seen people in Barbados already talking about it. How could she be playing a club match and she can't play for Barbados? But I will say this, from a pure cricketing perspective, the competition in the club match is of a way higher standard than she would have faced playing in the women's T20. So from a cricketing perspective as a player, she will be getting more benefit from playing that club match, because it's in the Premier League she's played, the top league with the best players in Barbados. That's whom she's playing against. It's not like she's playing on a low second division league or
Yes,
something.
so
like
she's playing against male.
Mm-hmm.
And modern medicines also allows one to rehabilitate while playing. It's no longer, modern medicine doesn't allow, no longer a situation that you have to get better first before
Correct.
you start playing.
That's part of the rehab. That's part of the rehab.
Yes, thank you, Basil. I also want to make the point, which I found it to be a trend that is taking over the Caribbean, and not only in cricket, not only in sport, and maybe even the US too, because I've heard about it, where there are some persons, they only work when their money is finished. Is it a case that now that the West Indies women are being better paid, they have retained a contract, that some players do not think they have to be always out there playing because they need time to spend some of their money? It was a pleasure having you here this morning, gentlemen. Damien, let's hear your closing comment.
On the matter you said, or overall?
Overall.
It was a privilege to be here. I like the platform. I think your audience always interact with you in terms of giving suggestion and their feedback. And I just want to, if through your permission, to big up my academy, right? Start Your Story, Cricket and Fitness Academy. And I want to make mention of a young man who recently was selected to represent Jamaica at the under 15 level. His name is Luane Price. And in the tournament in Antigua, he would have gotten the Best Wicketkeeper award. So just commendation to you and your program. Thank you for having me. Big up Mr. Basil, and big up yourself.
Damien, just before, I want to ask you this. And this is Jason Humphreys saying, Damien, I don't agree with you, because when he's playing for the West Indies, I think he's talking about Shepherd, he doesn't put that in terms of playing. He just perform in IPL because he's collecting the big cash.
Encouragement always sweeten labor, right? And you know the big bucks these gentlemen and ladies are getting at those leagues. So against West Indies needs so are top up what the salary of these gentlemen are getting, for them to show more interest and put out the effort they are doing in the other T20 leagues.
Thank you very much. Basil, Harvey Lynch is saying that the issue with Deandra Dottin is behavioral. She has a behavioral problem.
I don't know. I know she got injured in the WPL. So the behavioral part, that's speculation. I have no knowledge of that.
Okay. Can you provide any information on Shamar Joseph at this time?
Shamar Joseph is just on the bench. It's funny you asked me that, because I checked in with my friends who are ardent IPL watchers, if Shamar had played a match for the season, and they said he hasn't played one as yet. I also had asked about Rovman Powell, because after the end of the match, I saw Rovman Powell in conversation with Hetmai and other West Indian players. And I asked, has the former West Indies captain played a match? And I was told he had played one thus far this season.
Yes.
You know, so.
Thank you very much, Basil. Do you just give us your final comment?
Okay. Again, I would like to thank yourself, and it was a very good pleasure having Damien on. He's an intelligent young man. I think he is ticking a lot of the boxes we would like to be ticked by coaches in the region. And I wish him all the best and continue the good work. Anything that we can do to help you on that continued good journey, we are here to give that assistance. I must say, finally, Carlton, you did not bring up much about the current T20 Women's League that is going on, tournament, T20 tournament. And again, I'm not surprised, but the standard again is not where we want to see a cricket competition, which is one step away from the international level. And I have said this, I made a drastic call that they should suspend these regional competitions and to forego that and spend that money in the territories to have very intensive upskilling programs for our girls and women cricketers in all the various territories. And well, then I had to remember, as a full member of nation, the
ICC, as a full member of ICC, you have to play.
Yes, they have to play a women domestic competition. So I said they will need to do this thing hand in hand. Thus far, they are not, because to me, you're pouring money down a hole with these regional tournaments, because the players are not benefiting. They're not getting better as a result from these tournaments. So we have to do something different.
Yes. This morning, I'm hurting. And I'm hurting because when I look at West Indies cricket, or when I look at Jamaica cricket, to me, the standard is going lower and lower. Carl Hooper said it a few years ago. He was taken to task. Some persons believe that's the reason why he was fired from the West Indies cricket team or asked to leave. Serious actions need to be taken. We need to stop the dilly-dallying around and get the job done. Too many persons are not carrying out their functions in an effective way. We must get our coaches and our players to be more serious. We must get our parents to be more serious. We must get our parents to want it for their children also. One of the biggest challenges that I encountered in Jamaica is that when I see a young man or a young girl with some talent, and I would go to the parents and said, you know, your child has some talent. I could facilitate the process of he or she becoming an international cricketer. I would say that to the parents. And I would say, however, they need to work hard and they need to make a lot of sacrifices. It appears that most of those parents, or I should say all of those parents except one that I've ever met, they generally heard becoming an international cricketer, but it don't appear that they hear the hard work, and the sacrifice. I said it many occasions. Hard work will beat talent that doesn't work hard. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your company, and I look forward to joining you next Sunday morning on another episode of The Takedown. I'll be back during the week with some other shows talking about West Indies state of in a financial state of goodness where they hold no money and yet still they have a lot of money in the bank also. But until then, take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.